everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. It's officially the 21st episode of my podcast. This is why I'm not invited. I am so happy to be here. Thank you so much for joining me today. Again, we're still going on that Monday vibe, releasing episodes on Monday. I appreciate the patience and basically all of your support and all your questions and feedback. And although today is not going to be talking about having a double life, it's focused on something that bleeds into my regular life. So it's not a double life episode per se. It's an episode about parasocial relationships. Before I get any further, remember, whenever I open my mouth, most people, they look away. But you're still here. For those of you who haven't heard of the term parasocial relationship, you might be asking yourself what it is. Let me help you with that. Layman's term basically means that a parasocial relationship is a one-sided attachment from people when they are observing someone else's life, when they're admiring them from afar. A lot of this will actually happen online. It's a one-sided attachment again, and there is no mutual connection. And in a lot of parasocial relationships, there's not even any kind of mutual friendship. A lot of times when I'm in public, and I'm talking about vanilla spaces, grocery stores, Ace Hardware, other places, people will come up to me or they'll follow me around the store. And finally, when we start talking, they'll be like, "Oh my God, I see you online all the time. I absolutely love you. I think you're the coolest. You have so much this. You have so much that. I love your style." And I love the compliments, honestly. I think it's great. Thank you so much. But also at the same time, I am a little bit in my feelings because I don't necessarily know who they are. Because again, I've not actually ever met them in real life. Even though they follow me online, they follow my profiles, things like that, we've never interacted. I'm not sure what their username is. I'm not sure what their real name is. Although, let me be really clear, I really don't need to know anyone's real name. If you just tell me your username, that is more than fine with me, and I'm absolutely okay with that. Parasocial relationships are something that openly public kink people, as well as regular people and people in everyday lives, influencers, celebrities, insert role here. They deal with it on a daily basis, and it's really important. It's really important for us to understand this dynamic because it happens everywhere, online, offline, and this parasocial relationship actually affects real life and real life interactions. Again, I have to reiterate that parasocial relationships are a one-sided connection. One person has this, or it basically feels very emotionally close, or they are very emotionally invested, while the other person is completely unaware. One person is an observer. They see ideas. They have all of these expectations, and even worse, they have these assumptions of another person based on what they see and not actually what they know. This type of relationship, this parasocial relationship, this attachment, these feel real to the observer. But honestly, in reality, it is not a real thing. It's not what they actually think it is. It's very easy for admiration to turn into expectation, especially when access is limited or it's curated. Again, parasocial relationships happen everywhere, online, in structured spaces, in public. One of the things that is a huge thing for me, as I mentioned, is when I go into public places, I know that I'm going to be seen. I show my face openly, and I have absolutely no regret, no care in the world, no negative emotions. I have chosen to show my face because I am comfortable presenting that side of myself to the world. But when I sometimes go to like regular places, people will recognize me and then they'll call me out by Nova. I have tried to do my best and not like necessarily do a head turn right away. But if you keep hearing someone call your name and just Nova, 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 and then you look up and see somebody waving, that's definitely interesting. And something that I really don't want to have a conversation with like my family. It gets even worse because I have been referred to some of the cosplay characters that I have publicly posted myself in, so I don't even get my real name called sometimes. It's just, hey, the succubus girl. Yeah, thanks. That's not awkward. Again, some of these people I've never met in real life. I don't even know what they look like because the pictures of them online might not even be actual pictures of people. They feel like they know me, but in real life, they only know me from what they've observed from me on my socials or what they themselves have basically imagined and then filled in the blanks. It shows how parasocial attachment isn't just limited to screens. It follows people into real life and into real life spaces. So there's this thing called idolized perception. People idolize what they see. They notice charisma and confidence, creativity, and in between those gaps, they actually fill it in with their perception and their fantasy. Online presence, I'm going to let you know right now, is only a fraction of what you're actually witnessing in that person's life. Depending on the person or the influencer, the celebrity, whatever person you want to put in here, you have to understand that that online presence, it's curated, right? They're choosing a very selected portion of their life that they want to show you. And they're showing these very specific, intentional moments to basically show someone what they want anyone else to see. They're showing you what they want to be seen. These types of like partial views, this reinforces the admiration and then the emotional investment by the people that have these one-sided attachments. When reality diverges, when reality of that person kicks in from the illusion or the imagined version, disappointment comes or feelings of being misled, right? That happens. Again, when you only see a small fraction of very specific events in which you are being allowed to see, when you have an idea of somebody, when you create this illusion, when you find out who they are, it's going to be disappointing because you're going to realize it's not all puppies and kittens and rainbows and glitter. At the end of the day, or the root of this issue, is emotional investment. Parasocial attachment, it's emotional. These observers, they invest time, they invest thought, and even affection into this created version of you. They feel like they know who you are intimately, even if all of their impressions are solely and only based on limited exposure. This makes reactions to real life choices or boundaries feel heightened for them. It's real for them, but it's not a mutual connection. At the end of the day, we're wired for social bonds. We want to be around other people. We are a social species, whether you want to admit that out loud or not. Even minimal exposure. This can trigger attachment mechanisms, right? Things like empathy, mirroring, projections. Observers will basically see these small gestures and then they interpret them as intimacy. They see a picture or a photo or an update and they're like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. This is meant just for me. Like they know I'm watching. The brain itself actually rewards these type of connections, even if it is one-sided. And that's why when people meet their idols, when people meet people that they have become infatuated with and have this parasocial one-sided relationship with them in their brain, in their mind, they get hurt. They get disappointed. And even worse, they feel entitled because it doesn't matter what reality is. That reality, as honest and truthful and real as it may be, it doesn't imagine, it doesn't compare, it doesn't live up to their imagined perception of the connection that exists. So it doesn't matter that there's no connection there, not to them, because they have a connection to you and the reality doesn't fit that narrative that they've created, which makes it wild, right? Because that's when things start to escalate. We have like hurting of feelings, pressing of boundaries, violation of boundaries. This actually makes real life and real world interactions super complicated. I'm not sure how to express how I feel when people that I've never met before run up to me that I've never seen and tell me how cool I am. Or one of the things that I tend to get a lot, which I honestly don't care, I have been told by so many people that I am intimidating. And honestly, that's not a me problem, that's a you problem, but also this is for another day, another conversation. I got called a celebrity before and I hate it. I hate that so much because for me, that's wild. I understand now in my kink career, I guess. Again, face showing, but I'm pretty well known. And it's so crazy for me to be compared to a celebrity because I'm over here just doing my best. You guys, I'm just doing my best. I'm getting up every day. I'm making sure the chores are done, the dogs are fed. I don't understand why more than one person, have called me a celebrity. Like, that is just insane for my brain to process. As flattering as that is actually, it's weird. And the reason why it's weird for me is because their attachment to me is based on their perception of me. It's their ideas of who I am. And that's not always reality. I am not a celebrity. I'm not. I'm a very small fish, right? Another thing too is I really don't date. And one of the biggest reasons for this is because of the parasocial relationships that people have with me that I myself am completely unaware of. It's happened a lot more than once when I basically have talked to somebody. It's fine in the first half. They have me in the first half, but maybe a couple of conversations in, a couple of dinners in, insert things here. I realize that there is a very particular part of this where the conversation just pivots and it moves towards attending my events, teaching classes at my venues, all of the ideas that they have to like do things and be more proactive. I've had multiple people comment about becoming recognized as my plus one. I had somebody that told me basically, oh, now I have to clean up my profile because everyone's going to be watching me because now we're together. That's insane to say out loud. And the fact that they believe it is even more crazy. Now, I'm not about cleaning up your profile. We all have to do it. Just a little spick and span here. We do grow, we adapt, we evolve, we change, we learn, we grow. I love that. But when they start trying to like make it clear they're going to polish their profile or their persona to match this imagined version of who they think I want them to be or who they think that other people want them to be, that is a huge red flag for me. And I am gone so quickly. I'm literally dropping money on that table and leaving mid-dinner. I'm out. I do have to admit that there have been times where I didn't necessarily acknowledge the behavior or I didn't notice the behavior. I have tunnel vision. Again, I know that most of you know I have ADHD. I'm definitely neurospicy. I'm neurodivergent. I tend to hyperfocus on things and I don't necessarily see the obsessive behavior or the obsessive interests when I first start out. Constant monitoring of like what I'm doing, where I'm at. And sometimes it's kind of scary because I'll be like, hey, I'm not really sure what I'm doing this weekend. Let me get back to you. And that person will reply with, oh, you have this on this date, this on that date. It looks like you're only free on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday. So let's schedule for that day. The fact that these people know my schedule off the top of their head without making a reference point, even when I myself am just running, that's a big red flag. I have also had people that I did not know well or don't know well that have had extreme emotional reactions to minor interactions that I have actually had with them. A lot of the time, it's either absolutely insanely excited or absolutely disappointed. They assume intimacy is happening there when actually the reality and the truth is we haven't had a single shared experience together. It's simply a one-sided focus on what benefits the observer that signals the parasocial attachment. So this observer of your life, they actually have their idea. They often feel genuine emotion. They feel included. They feel familiar. They feel connected to you. They feel disappointment or betrayal when the reality of who you are and the reality of that interaction that they're actually having with you does not match their expectations. This attachment can reduce loneliness temporarily, but it distorts understanding of genuine relationships themselves. And this can actually overstimulate and hurt mutual trust, intimacy, and significance. Being watched this way is stressful. I cannot tell you how stressed out I get when I start noticing these red flags. Again, the obsessive behavior, the extreme disappointment, the extreme excitement. I am never going to be pressured to do anything that I don't want to do. I'm going to say that forever. I will never do anything that I do not want to do. There are some times where I can read a room and I don't want to be an outright asshole. I'm not trying to intentionally hurt anybody's feelings. I definitely monitor what I'm saying. You have like a good 10% of me filtering my mouth, right? And I mean that because I really don't want to, I'm not trying to be an asshole, but I do want to be firm about my boundaries. So I hear the thing, oh, well, I don't want you to do anything you're not gonna. I'm not that kind of person. I'm not a people pleaser. I am going to take care of me at the end of the day. And unfortunately for these observers, that leads to the disappointment. That leads to the fracture in this image of that illusion of you that they have created because you're not just going with the flow. Again, I only show you a very limited part of my life. My life is so big. There is so much going on, and I am grateful to be as busy and as fortunate and as lucky and as, blessed as I am. But with that, I want you to understand that if you follow me online and we've never spoken before, I'm not going to necessarily act different. I'm not going to be overly friendly with you. I'm not going to maintain this illusion of a persona of me. I'm not going to live up to the illusion that you have of me because that's just not who really I am. And I'm not going to respond in ways that you're comfortable with, or I'm not going to cross boundaries. I'm not going to do anything, but I am not going to maintain a falsehood of who I am to allow you to think that that perception and that image of me that you have is a real thing. Repeated one-sided attention, this causes a ton of emotional labor. Boundaries need to be enforced. Boundaries for the targets of these one-sided relationships, of these parasocial relationships, are crucial. And that needs to be set outright, be upfront and honest, because those boundaries, they're going to protect us. It's protecting me, my energy, my autonomy, as well as my personal life. Social media makes things worse, whether we want to admit that or not. It definitely is not the best place because this is where parasocial attachment actually thrives. Frequent posting, live streams, all these interactions, this will actually reinforce the illusion of intimacy. Again, you're only seeing a very small portion, which is a curated portion of what's happening in that person's life. Followers, these observers, they're going to feel included without the full understanding of what's actually happening. This reinforces the expectations that they have that have nothing to do with reality. And this is what's going to lead to the disappointment, the hurt on their end that can again lead to things like pushing boundaries. I wish people were taught through their feelings just a little bit more, right? Just a little bit. I feel like accountability and what's the word? It just left my brain. It's not just accountability. It's the understanding of yourself. So you have to have emotional intelligence. I think that's really important. And if we can start teaching emotional intelligence early, then the people who are going through these motions, they'll start to recognize that admiring somebody is not a real connection. A lot of people care. I'm not saying that people don't care. There are a lot of genuine people out there, and there are a lot of people that actually care, and that's great. However, the understanding is only based in observation, not an actual relationship. Reflecting on these interactions, this actually prevents overinvestment, and that helps maintain perspective. If they can recognize that, hey, I see them online, I think they're, nice and interesting, but they realize they can't like come up to you and expect that super friendly interaction. If they take a step back and realize what they're seeing on the screen is not who they're getting in person, I think that would definitely help basically prevent these parasocial relationships from getting very, very bad and potentially dangerous. There's also this really big power dynamic that happens in a parasocial relationship. The observer, it's themselves, they actually invest a lot of emotional energy. The target, right? This person holds visibility, influence, maybe authority. And unfortunately, here, opportunistic behavior can exploit this type of imbalance. Being admired or observed, this requires energy because you have to like maintain yourself. You have to have this idea of what their expectations are versus what the reality is. I'm not saying to be mean. I'm not saying to, just completely cut them off unless, or if you're having a bad day, state you have a bad day, set your boundaries. Don't ever think that speaking up for yourself is a bad thing because you are the one who takes care of you at the end of the day. Okay. You can be kind, but don't be so kind. Don't be so caught up in this illusion that someone else has of you that you are sacrificing yourself. You should never overextend yourself for someone else's perception of you, for their fantasy of you. Because when you start doing that, you're going to get burnt out. This is a one-sided attachment. When people have these one-sided attachments, it can actually distort them from actual relationships as well as real expectations. They are going to struggle having and being able to express reciprocal friendships. They don't understand the idea or the concept of being platonic. They prioritize visibility and having access to you and just basically like liking all of your stuff over a real authentic connection. Repeated parasocial attention, this also damages trust. It creates anxiety, fatigue, caution. Protecting yourself and protecting your energy is the most important thing that you have to do. It's not a choice. It's a must. It's an absolutely must do to basically preserve yourself. And I want to, again, you got to take care of you. Okay. If you are going to be so concerned about everyone else, you're going to basically waste your own emotional spoons. One of the things that I think is the worst about the whole parasocial relationship, obviously the whole thing sucks. No, but it's a whole one-sided relationship. When people have these parasocial relationships with you, the admiration they have, it comes with expectations and it also comes with assumptions. These observers of your life, they assume that you're friends. They assume that you're close. They assume familiarity with you that doesn't exist. Clarifying your role and basically your intention, this needs to happen so you can prevent resentment. Boundaries, again, they're essential. Define what your personal space is, your social space is. This prevents the one-sided attachment from becoming draining and basically manipulative. I made the mistake once of not, asserting my boundaries strong enough with somebody who had a parasocial relationship with me. I let that person know immediately that I was not interested in dating, and I should have cut him off there. I don't know what I was thinking. I definitely thought that this person had more emotional intelligence and would be okay with a platonic friendship. I was wrong. I was wrong. That man did things that started to cross boundaries, started to cross my comfort level. I cut him out of my life. And when I saw him a month later, he bought me fake flowers and some of my favorite sake that's hard to get. And actually, you have to order it. So I've realized from personal mistakes that sometimes setting boundaries early and just moving away completely, that's what you need to do to protect yourself. Another thing that these parasocial relationships bring out to the light is opportunistic behavior. Opportunists, they act friendly, and they only act friendly when it benefits them. The reason for this is because you have something that they want. And in order for them to get access to that thing that they want, they basically form this fake relationship with you, and they'll call it friendship sometimes. Again, opportunists, they are so focused on their needs, their wants, their ability to have something, them being recognized publicly, the influence that they want to have but don't have, they'll leech onto you so they can be recognized, so they can make friends, so they can become social. It's not a real connection, it's just opportunists taking advantage of what should be a real connection. You should notice a consistency or the lack of consistency. That is going to tell you whether they're opportunistic or they're actually trying to be friendly. I do want everyone to know that it's okay to be liked. You're going to be liked. If you're in the public eye in any way, shape, or form, you are going to be liked. You don't have to reciprocate that energy. You don't have to pretend that there is an intimacy with a stranger when there's not. Your personal life choices, your personal decisions are non negotiable. I had somebody tell me recently that they were upset with me and my decisions because who they thought I was did not line up with my personal life choices, which again, nobody was getting hurt. I didn't hurt anybody. Nothing bad happened, but they were upset that I chose to talk to somebody because they did not like the person I was talking to. That's crazy. I still don't know how to respond to that person that told me that they're upset that I did not make the choices that they wanted me to take because they didn't like a particular person. That's insane. That's where the boundaries start getting crossed. This is where the red flags are showing. So, because this particular person doesn't like somebody else, they feel that they have the right to tell me or shame me or attempt to shame me for making a personal life decision. Again, this is absolutely not okay. This is why boundaries are important. Some people will do their best to have like a ha or like a drop the mic moment and try to give you some lecture about how to be a better person when they themselves, they don't know what they're doing. They don't even understand their own emotions. They have no emotional intelligence and no accountability. So don't let these people get to you because they're going to try. Again, they think that they know you. They think that they are entitled to you. They think it is your responsibility to live up to the illusion they have created of you from the fraction of what they've actually seen, with them not even partaking in everyday life. I want you to know that that person that tried to shame me for my personal decisions has not once ever talked to me in person, text me in person. They have only ever seen me at events. So that should just tell you how insane and out of pocket and how entitled these people are, or these people can be, that are these observers that are having these parasocial relationships with you. Well, that's it for me for today. Again, we could have a bigger conversation about parasocial relationships. I mean, they're complex, they're in everyday aspects, and they're often unavoidable. I don't feel like people are intentionally trying to be malicious in a parasocial relationship, but you can't, I don't know. It just happens. It's an attachment style. Thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, when I open my mouth, most people look away. But you're still here. And that's great with me. Make sure that you take care of yourself, you protect your space, you protect your boundary, and drink water. Bye.